felony, classified as a third felony offender. Offenses: armed robbery, 5 counts, armed robbery, illegal possession of stolen things. Sentencing dates are April 29th, 1999, May 3rd, 1994, revoked on April 30th, 1998, July 22nd, 1991, revoked on April 21st, 1992, sentenced to a total of 253 years, 1 month, 14 days. Parole date, August 1st, 2021. Good time, August 20th, 2248. Full term, October 25th, 2250. Is this information correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Wise.
Good morning, Mr. Alexander and the staff and everyone.
Good
I
morning.
looked on your files. I went over them a long time last night. When was your last disciplinary write-up?
My last disciplinary write-up was in October of 2018. It was for
Okay, you have a total of 58 write-ups. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And a lot of them, when you first got in that prison, you want to start running that prison on your own, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Well, they must have convinced you could go ahead and go along with the rules. So it looks like you're doing a lot better now. So that's a big key to rehabilitation. What are some of the classes you take and you think it meant the most to you?
Well, the class that meant the most to me was thinking for a change. And the reason why I say that is because throughout my life, I've made a lot of bad decisions. You know, that's prior to coming to Angola, as well as being here at Angola too. And since my last disciplinary report, I made a promise to myself that it was time for Louis Alexander to change. And me taking that class gave me an opportunity to do just that. And the decision that I made, I'm not happy about nothing that I've done because I haven't done anything good. And that was one of the reasons why I had to go out and take thinking for a change so that I have a better opportunity to stand before you all and let you know that I'm capable of changing and rehabilitating myself. So I would have to say thank you for a change with the main class that meant the most to me.
Okay. Where are you working at now?
Right now, I just got you. I just completed plumbing school, so now I'm a janitor, all in a dormitory.
When you get out, where were you going to live?
I'll be going to a transition housing, and once I leave there, I'll be going to live with my mother and father.
Your mother and father, they're still in pretty good shape?
Well, my dad has COVID right now, but my mom, she's doing better than usual, but for the most part, they're doing good.
You know, I looked on a lot of your program, man. You've taken some good programs that'll benefit you when you get out on the street. I can tell you that. There are some good programs that you've taken.
Thank you.
And crafts and training. And you finished your 100 hours pre-release, thinking for a change, anger management, cage for rage, and certified baptism May of 2006. Well, I see you've done some good programs. I think you've headed in the right way as a warden there.
Yes, sir.
Anything you have to say on his behalf?
He and I actually were speaking a little earlier. It looks like back about 3 years ago is when, as he just spoke, he kind of flipped the switch, kind of saw where he was and where he wanted to be. And since that time, he has progressed to get a MNC. Just got that in August, and got some trade. So he's moving in the right direction.
Yes, sir. All right, I don't have any other questions.
Right. Now we'll hear from Mr. Kerry Myers. Good morning, Kerry Myers, Louisiana Parole Project. While Mr. Alexander, 23 years ago, obviously made a lot of bad decisions, as he explained. During his incarceration, yes, the switch came on several years ago, but he started working towards that actually a long time before that. He completed his GED when he was in Angola. He recognized he had to change. It may have taken a little while to get fully there, but he started it. He completed culinary arts since he's been incarcerated, concrete finishing, and now he just completed plumbing. His disciplinary record has cleaned up exceptionally well over the last few years. He has employment when he leaves parole project. He has parole project to help him through the transition. I won't go into the list of all the services. This board is well aware of those things. He has a job once he gets home, which you'll hear from his cousin about that. Mr. Alexander, at this stage in his life, at the age he is now, he's in that particular sweet spot where he has this opportunity to reestablish his life and move forward. I know that if you just look back at his criminal record, that may be one that's certainly a consideration. But if you look now in the work that he has done while incarcerated, that's also very significant. And we would ask, we believe Mr. Alexander is ready to be released on parole. He has all the systems in place for him to succeed. And we would ask that this board grant his parole today.
All right, thank you. We'll hear from Mr. Larry Jones now.
Yes, this is Larry Jones.
Go ahead, make a brief statement.
I just want you guys to know that my cousin, he have a superior family support out here. Myself and my cousin Raymond Alexander, who will also speak. We're very supportive of him, and we're all around the same age. We all grew up closer together. You know, Raymond and I are married with our families, and we just want our cousin to get out and have the same opportunity and be a law and abiding citizen, in which we know that he will be. We've been in communication with him over the years, and he has improved, and we're proud of him. So we're just hoping and looking forward to him to come out so that we can be of support to him. And like Mr. Meyer said, my cousin Raymond, he has company. He'll speak on that behalf. That Lewis will be able to work with him.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your comment. We'll hear from Mr. Raymond Alexander now.
Thank you.
Still on mute, Mr. Alexander.
I talked to Raymond earlier. He said he had help to try to get on Zoom because he never did Zoom before. So if he can't get on, I just want to speak on his behalf real quick.
Go ahead.
Raymond
Speak
Alexander.
quickly, sure.
Okay. Yeah. Raymond. He has 2 companies. One of them, the name is Alexander Properties and Investments, and the other one is Alexander Maintenance and Mechanical LLC. And he's been doing that for 25 years. And Lewis will definitely have a job waiting on him upon his release. And we feel like getting out into society, having a stable foundation is very important to him getting home.
All right, thank you. So he's got a job waiting. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
There you go. All right. Now we'll hear from Mr. Randy Meyer.
Good morning, Randy Meyer, Assistant DA, Jefferson Parish. Mr. Alexander has a pretty violent criminal history, 6 armed robberies. He was out of jail 2 months when he committed this armed robbery. He was sentenced 250 years without benefit of parole. I think that's important. He's got parole eligibility because of the new, I believe, Act 122. looking at his record since he's been incarcerated, the 58 disciplinary reports concern me, and they continue through 2018. And I know it's getting better. It's been since 2018, and he's had a disciplinary report. But I know that he finished 100 hours back in 2015 and continued to get those disciplinary reports. He did Thinking for a Change, I believe in 2019. Yeah, 2019, and maybe that's helped him to turn the corner. But I'm not quite prepared to change my position from an opposition when it's only been a couple of years since he's got his last disciplinary reports. If he goes a few more years without disciplinary reports, that could change from my standpoint. So we remain opposed to his request.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Alexander, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
Yes, sir. I know that, I want to first of all apologize to the victims whom I've wronged. And I know that they didn't deserve the things that I've done, and I take full responsibility for my action. But I can assure you that the man that I was 25 years ago is not the man that you're seeing today. But I've changed in a lot of ways, and I know that given an opportunity to go back into society, that I would be different, that I would make a better living for myself, where I won't have to get back off into the criminal lifestyle that led me to where I'm at today. And like I said, I made bad decisions. I don't make no excuses for the things that I've done. And like I said, if I can apologize to the victim, I would do just that, because I am sorry for the things that I've done. But I have changed, and I just want an opportunity to capitalize on the mistakes, on the decisions that I've made. And like I said, I apologize to the victims and their families as well as my family. I brought a lot of pain upon them, and I'm sorry for what I've done. And I give you my word that would never happen again, because I have my family said I have a job waiting. I had a Louisiana Parole Project back me. I have a strong support system intact for me to get out where I can succeed, and I will succeed because I'm determined to do just that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Hogan, would you like to wrap it up?
Thank you, Mr. Kelsey. I think Mr. Alexander just said it very well for himself. The difference now is he is 48 years old. When Mr. Myers is correct, Mr. Alexander did get released from prison, was at a couple months. He was 24 years old. He had no support system in place, no job prospects, no skills, and he went right back to prison after committing multiple armed robberies in which no one was physically injured. But that's neither here nor there. I believe that, as Mr. Kerry Myers stated, Mr. Alexander's progress and rehabilitation began a long time ago. And if nothing else, his behavior since his denial in 2018 in his last parole hearing is really indicative of that change. Exactly. The reason we have Act 122 and Act 790 is because at the age of 45 and after spending 20 years in jail, there is a natural there's a natural decline in criminalistic mentality, and people age out of criminal thinking. And that's really apparent here. We have Louis Alexander today, who's 48 years old. He has 3 technical trades. He has a job waiting for him. He has the full support of the parole project. Now is different. He will also be on parole for the rest of his life. And he's fully aware of that. So he there is going to be a support system and people watching him, making sure that he is successful if he is released. So we would submit that he's ready, and we would ask that you vote for him with any conditions that are deemed appropriate. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Panel prepared to vote. Mr. Jim?
Yes. I'll be honest with you, this is kind of a hard one for me. Because of some of the disciplinary write-ups that you've had. And I'm saying, I think you're ready. I think you're really getting close to being ready. You've had 21 aggravated sex offenses. I mean, not 21. You've had 21 aggravated sex offenses in your disciplinary jacket. And with the lengthy sentence that you've had, You've done some good programs, but at this time, I'm not just ready for you because of some of the disciplinary write-ups. And as the assistant DA said, I think you need to have a few more years just to see what's happening. That bothers me because of some of the write-ups you've had. And at this time, I'm going to be voting to deny. I think you need to take some kind of programs in sex offender treatment of some kind, and with a strong law enforcement opposition that is against your release. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Pearl.
Thank you. Mr. Alexander, happy belated birthday. You just had one January the 10th.
Yes, ma'am.
That's good to you.
Thank you.
My vote is to grant. You have a good institutional record. You have a low risk. You earned your GED in multiple trades, and you have a community support and a good transition plan with the Louisiana Parole Project. And you lack victim opposition. There's no victim opposition that's been expressed for various reasons. Well, that is my vote, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, you have one vote to grant and one vote to deny. I also listened to everything that was said and through your file. There's a lot of issues we have, a lot of issues with the disciplinary write-ups, but it looks like you've turned a corner and you have a lot of good skills. Again, this is a difficult case. They're all difficult. I do have some concern. I do. But with everything I see for me today, I'm going to vote to grant your parole because of the work you've done, because of you have good skills, you have good family support, and you have looks like you have a good transition plan. I'd grant you to the parole project. I'd grant you with a curfew from 9 p to 6 a. I want you to do 4 hours a month of community service, maintain full-time employment, no contact, and no contact with any victims. And that's my vote. So it's 2-1. Let's see. You have a GED. Do you have you're on a low risk score? We have that. And have you taken pre-release? So it looks like 2 votes to grant, 1 vote to deny. Today, you're probably granted with the stipulations as stated. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, let's get out to Alyssa Curtis in Jefferson Parish. The sheriff's deputies went to arrest a man last night. He led them on a chase that lasted about 3 hours before, when they apprehended him, he was shot by a deputy, and Alyssa has more for us.
Yeah, so JPSO officers say that deputies have been investigating 5 separate armed robberies, and they believe a 50-year-old by the name of Louis Alexander has been involved. Officers say in serving a search warrant yesterday afternoon, he was shot by an officer multiple times, and it happened here on the 4000 block of School Drive. Officers say they have recovered multiple weapons that they believe have been used in these robberies. Detectives were trying to serve a search warrant at Alexander's home, and they say when he walked out of the front door, he saw the deputies and he ran. Officers then tried to locate him for several hours and set up a perimeter. They eventually found him several blocks away, again here on the 4000 block of School Drive. That's blocks away from his house on Avenue B. They say eventually when they found him, they were trying to apprehend him, trying to arrest him, and an officer discharged his weapon multiple times, and he was unfortunately shot. Now, that man is now in the hospital, and he is being treated for his injuries. We have reached out to JPSO to get more information on this incident, so we'll, of course, keep you guys updated as we get more information this morning. Reporting live in Jefferson Parish.
Man, I am incredibly surprised that the low risk score algorithm was wrong in this case. I mean, he had a low risk score, right? Like the PhDs created this wonderful algorithm. It can't possibly be. But in all seriousness, the whole thing is I think absurd. You had the ADA against Jane Hogan with the Parole Project. And if you need any sign of corruption, there it is. The Parole Project they lobbied for legislation to be passed called Act 122. And it was unanimously signed by both sides of the aisle in Louisiana. And what it was that there was an initiative created by Louisiana to reduce their per capita imprisonment rate, which is one of the highest in the country. And how do you do that? Well, if you have these non-for-profits that will help house these inmates that are aging in the system. So Act 122 makes it so that almost anyone, there are some exceptions, who has served more than 20 years of their sentence, regardless if they have a 253-year sentence, and is above the age of 40, that they have the opportunity for parole. And that's why he had the opportunity for parole. And now, so the parole project lobbies this legislation. It gets passed. All of these clients, which is what they call them, inmates, but they call them clients, get released. And then it's tax funded. Instead of the money going to the prison system, it goes to the parole project and they make lots of money. Now, Jane Hogan put up a great argument. He's really changed. Data shows that you grow out of crime. You know, he's initially in prison for taking a father of 6, a taxi driver, in a senseless crime, right? After getting revoked and revoked and revoked. Now, on the flip side, there were certain things that were impressive. I mean, he had everything going for him. He has a skill of being a plumber, which is remarkable. That is something that you can have a really comfortable living doing and always find work. He had the support of the parole project. But yet, it took no time at all for him to get into this type of trouble. This hearing happened January 21st, 2021, and he was caught up in this about a year and a half later. Was it March 2022? May 2023, actually, it looks like. So he won a little bit, but I'm sorry, January 2022 to May 2023. But it's you know, well, anyways, let's jump into this.
With a long criminal history, out on parole, now in the hospital. It comes after an hours-long manhunt yesterday led by Jefferson Parish deputies, and they ended up shooting the suspect.
WDSU reporter Eli Brand has been digging into what led to those shots fired and the suspect's criminal past. Eli?
Gina Sola, that suspect is suspected of multiple armed robberies, but it's not the first time. Back in 1998, he was convicted of multiple armed robberies and handed a 250-year prison sentence. But we recently learned from the Louisiana Parole Board he was out on parole since March of 2022.
Cops after somebody, they got SWAT.
Cell phone video shows a search that started at Alexander's home and ended here 7 hours later Thursday at Jack Torito's home. Deputies say Alexander was hiding under this porch for hours before finally being coaxed out with deputies using pepper spray. He is expected to survive after JPSO says deputies fired shots. As for the homeowner, he says he was inside when the gunfire erupted.
Yeah, I was inside. Several rounds went off, and I heard the police saying, "Put your hands, let me see your hands, let me see your hands," and all that. And there was several rounds that were fired. Yes.
So to have been inside while that was going on, I mean, what was your reaction? What were you thinking when that started?
I wasn't thinking. I was scared to death because I didn't know which way to go.
JPSO is still investigating why a deputy fired shots at Alexander.
Bottom line is the guys are not going out there looking to shoot people. They're responding to the things that happen to them. In those situations, we're not really in control of the suspect's actions, and the suspect's actions are going to dictate ours.
Torito says he was still in his home most of the day without the knowledge that Alexander was literally under his feet. Some of his neighbors remember the terrifying waiting game they had to play.
It got later, about 10 o'clock, I could hear that pow, 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 and then people hollering to stay down and don't move. And then they start, they were shooting. And I didn't hear no more after that. Because, it was scary.
Dogs, a drone, and a helicopter were all used in that search for that suspect, Louis Alexander. We were told by JPSO that they will be releasing his mugshot as soon as he is.
Now we can go over some of the crimes again in the information Richard provided, but I just want to point out again, you might look at this case and step back and say he committed some crimes, but he's in prison. He got these trades. Maybe this is what reform is about. But then let's remember, like I'm gonna agree with Jim Wise pointed out that he had write-ups just from like 2 years ago, and you have Jane Hogan saying, "Oh, how people age out of crime," but when you see enough of these hearings, you begin to understand that actually having multiple write-ups just a few years prior is an indication of not being reformed. Not to mention that he had 12 21As, which are sex offense write-ups. And it was aggravated 21As, which tells me that it was possibly sexual assault. These are the 21As. A sex offense, aggravated, Schedule B, non-consensual and or consensual. The offender on staff or non-incarcerated person strictly prohibited contact of any offender without a person's consent, or a person who is unable to consent or refuse through coercion is strictly prohibited. There is no, it says aggravated, so I don't know. I guess we don't really know if it was A, B, or C of which one that it was. Well, actually, no, it says non-consensual would be A. Abusive contact and misconduct. So, yeah, this is, it's, and let's also not forget that he only served 22 years on a 250-year sentence, 3-year sentence, and he took a life. How often do we see the board say you should at least serve 25 years? And when they say there's no victim opposition, you can't buy into that. You have to challenge it, because oftentimes we've seen it. They have parole hearings. The victims are not contacted. They're not contacted. And the cabbie that he killed 20 years ago, I'm reading this from text that I took notes on. He was so when he took the police officers, the cabbie's life, it was after he had already been sentenced for these pretty vicious armed robberies. And I think he was out on bail when he killed the 55-year-old. He was sent to pick up, the cab driver was sent to pick him up. And that was the last time his employer heard from him. They found the cabbie's car abandoned in the middle of the intersection, and with the meter still running. His body was in a patch of tall grass nearby, and he'd been shot at least once. A tip led the police to find him, and that's while he was out on bail. He took a cabbie's life. It's there's no reason to do that. What do you I have a very close friend of mine whose mother's father's life was taken. He was a cab driver, and he lived in New York, and he was hijacked by 2 young kids who said, "Take me to Canada." And he took him to Canada, and then they killed him. And there was no reason to do it. And she shows up she has to show up to their parole hearings every few years to make sure they stay in there. It's they say roughly a dozen cab drivers are killed, were killed during a 3-year stretch leading up to his slaying. Yeah, being a cab driver has got to be a scary job. So, and that cabbie had 6 children. So you wonder, do you think those children don't care? You don't think they'd show up to the parole hearing, or maybe were they not notified? But here it lists the different, crimes that he committed with the armed robberies. So he showed up at a store that Miss Rhoda was working as the cashier at the Super B convenience store at about 5:30 p.m. It's not even a late. That's a high traffic time, right? A customer who was last in line placed a soda on the counter. He paid for the drink with a $10 bill and inquired about the price of a cigar. As Miss Rhoda told him the price of the cigar, the man leaned over the counter, grabbed her blouse, and said, "This is a holdup. I'm going to rob you. I have a gun." At that point, the man lifted his shirt to reveal the butt of a gun tucked in his waistband of his shorts. The man told Miss Rhoda not to do or say anything or he would shoot her. Robert ordered Miss Rhoda to give him money from the cash register and her purse, and then told her to lie on the floor. Miss Rhoda did as she was told till the robber left. When she called police, she identified him in a photo lineup. She testified that the robbery lasted about 4 minutes and that she looked at the robber's face, even though he told her not to, because she wanted to be able to identify him. She was positive in her identification. Then here's another one where about 8:30 p.m. on August 28th, 1997, so this is 3 days later, there was a robbery at a Texaco gas station at 8:30 p.m. In that robbery, a man entered the store and walked up behind the clerk on duty, Crystal Johnson. The man put a gun to Miss Johnson's back and ordered her to turn around and open the cash register. The robber became impatient when Miss Johnson began entering a code to open the register. He said, "BITCH." I said, "Open the effing register." The robber took money from the register and asked her if she had no money. When she pulled out her pockets to show she had no money, the man ran out of the store. Miss Johnson called the police. Then there's another robbery. And then eventually, he somehow got out on parole from these robberies and then killed a taxi driver. And then they let him out after 23 years. I don't know. It's the whole low risk score thing. I don't know how they got the algorithms wrong. But he is locked back up. He wasn't killed, but who knows? Who knows when he'll get another parole hearing? He's back in life. Yeah, I don't even think they have a revocation hearing for these type of cases. He gets a new. I don't know if they'll waste their time with that. Otherwise, you would think we would have seen it. But it could be because this happened about 6 months ago that maybe he will have a revocation hearing. And if he does, we'll show it here. But there are cases that I root for people to get out. But if you take someone's life, you don't serve 25 years and you have all those write-ups, it's hard. It's much harder. And this was the result. And it seemed he had everything going for him. With that, I'll let you go.